YouTube. This is Dr. Wanda, and I wanted to sit down because today is a very special day. Today, November 2nd, is the second anniversary of the G3 tour that was organized to offer a health fair in Lilonia Village in Ghana. Um, it was a magnificent effort. We ended up servicing over 275 of the locals there. We learned a lot about what actually is making them sick. Lilonia is a salt harvesting village. That's what that village has, which is salt. And from that, it seems to be in the air or in the food. But one of the main things we learned after that health fair was that a lot of the locals there are suffering from high blood pressure. So it was from the health fair that we learned that. We went there with the heart to not only give them a wellness packet, but to give them immunization against um, hepatitis, which runs pretty rampant. With some of the women, we were able to give them something to help them with HPV. I think there was a couple of other things that we looked for, but they were able to finally just get someone to come right there and service. I had a team of amazing nurses and lab technicians that was right on site. So everything was checked from, just the heart, from the head to the feet. What could be checked in a health fair was checked. My daughter was my partner in this health fair, and she passed out black baby dolls. Gia has always had a black baby doll project. Because we're not back at home and we're not collecting while we're here, it has stalled, but that was one of the benefits of that health fair, was that she passed out over 50 black baby dolls, which we take great pride in that because we want black children to feel good about themselves. It's about self-esteem and beauty, recognizing your own beauty. So I'm sitting down and I'm celebrating that. And that made me think of a topic that one of my friends, who I've met through this platform, she's actually a YouTuber who contacted me and wanted to know more about traveling to Africa. She particularly was coming to Ghana with her husband and children, and she is here as we speak. Uh, she raised an issue that I think is an important issue, and she talked about bringing someone along and the blessing and burden in that choice. Like when you decide that you want to go to the motherland, whether it's your significant or it's a relative or it's a comrade, you might want to weigh the risk and the rewards of that. So I understand her, because the health fair was organized because the people that were traveling with me, my partner in that was actually a nurse. And she wasn't just any nurse. She was a nurse educator. She was a nurse practitioner. She was someone that on her own had a heart to go down to Mississippi, which is one of the weakest states in the U.S. in terms of poverty and just black brokenness. The Mississippian was preyed upon and tortured and lynched and just kept from even progressing. Even today, you can go down to Mississippi and still see outhouses. You just see a lot of depravity in Mississippi. And so she had the heart to go down to a state like Mississippi and set up a health fair, where she came to know about my work on Facebook and found me. I was friends with someone that was connected to her. And she asked to come with me to Africa, much like my friend traveled with her significant to Africa. And I really didn't have a problem with that per se. I've always traveled alone. I am by nature a loner. I'm a social introvert. I'm a loner, so it doesn't bother me to be by myself per se. But yeah, she wanted to come. We was vibing real good. There was a real nice sisterhood there. And so I said yes. But I also know that my light is strong. And I do feel that I live a very anointed life. And I try to respect it on that level. God has assigned me to do a work. I'm proud to do the work. And I try to do it where I don't disturb others, but I also don't want them disturbing me. So I said, hey, listen, I'm a PhD, I'm an academic, I'm an educator, I'm language arts, I'm lots of creativity, but I'm not a nurse. And even when I was interested in that field, like I tried to major in that at UIC, once I got to a certain level of the sciences, I checked out. I just didn't want to go that far in nursing, in the nursing program. I am sensitive. Some things do make me cry. And so I'm better as a humanitarian, as an outreach worker, as someone that, expresses empathy and compassion than I am like being hands on. And so that's a weakness with me. But it's a strength with her. So I said, listen, why don't we organize something where the educator and the nurse partner, and we can go and administer good service and support to this community. She said yes. So that's how the G3 tour came about. And um, to make a long story short, after much fundraising and organizing, she did come to Africa reluctantly, irritatedly. She came. And before she came, I explained to her that, Africa is not a mini America, that it is, in some regards, underdeveloped, but it's underdeveloped by Europeans on purpose. It owes no one an apology. And if you come and you're humble and you flexible, you'll do fine because it does have a lot. You just have to figure out where the stuff is, have the right people to connect you to it, and then you have to be willing to put your money where your mouth is. If you want certain things, you have to be willing to pay for it. So I'm gonna rush this story along. Okay, so to make a long story short, I brought this woman, this other woman who was asked to be a part of the team. She was a jewelry maker, and one of the things I brought to the villagers was anti-malaria stuff. I make a mosquito repellent soap that's very important to me because the biggest killer actually of Africans is malaria, and that's across the continent. Okay, barring South Africa, which falls under the malaria line because it's cold. So the woman who was the jeweler was supposed to make bracelets, and these are with lava beads so that you could soak them in the essential oils that repel mosquitoes, and you could wear the repellent. So you would wash yourself in something that repels them, and then you would wear some basic jewelry that repels them. So these two were fast friends, and they became friends around whatever connection they had. But one connection that they were sure about was they were not happy with me. That this health fair, they were going, but it cost a lot of money. They was worried about housing. They felt like what they were being described for transport. They had a bunch of things that they were disgruntled about, but they didn't really confront me with them. Okay, so within, I want to say 6 hours of us making it to the continent, the whole thing fell apart. The complaints started falling in, everything from transport to where they were staying. Now, you have to understand, my husband is, in many ways, just an average Ghanaian man. He didn't have any special housing or anything, but we worked very hard to make sure they had great housing. Okay, and so there was a home that was left behind with a caretaker. My husband was friends with him, where it was a modern home. This woman and her husband were Germans. They had come, bought land, built their home. The man died. The woman never really wanted to be in Africa. She left, and she was trying to sell the property, but it hadn't sold. So they was willing to rent rooms. So this had a modern kitchen, modern shower, toilet that flushed, all that kind of good stuff. Okay. What it didn't have was air conditioning. It didn't have Wi-Fi. It didn't have those things because nobody was living there yet. All right. So they come. They didn't like that it didn't have air conditioning. They raised hell. They wanted Wi-Fi. All of these things could have been resolved the next day, but they had a fit. And so my position was, I hadn't seen my husband in 7 months. I was not about to cater to adults. They came up with the idea that they was leaving. They wanted to leave, so they left the tour. They went to hotel. They spent money every night. Where this had been settled, they could stay the whole time for $100. They end up spending a lot of money going to these hotels, paying for their own food, which our stuff was going to be communal. Everything doubled for them. They cut off communication with me, and so I end up running this whole health fair by myself. And you're never by yourself when you want a God's anointing, because He will send you that team. And I can tell you that the Ghanaians were superb. They did a great job. I had collected so much resource independently of the nurse that when it fell apart, I had what was needed for us to move forward. I had fundraised a lot of money, so what I did not have, I had the funds to pay for, and so we moved forward. Now, getting back to my friend, she came here with her husband. And she came here with her husband with an understanding that they both believe in Africa, raising their children here. They share some philosophy together about what does it mean to go to the motherland. What does it mean to come out of America and all this fast paced and its diluted treatment of the black man. What does that mean? So they came here. They came here in coupleship. And all of the problems that were there that they thought being on the continent and working together and building together would sort of smooth things out, it didn't smooth things out. In fact, from having spoken with her, not only did she not progress to the level that she could have, there was some digression. Like she ended up losing ground to have spent this much time here, because she's been here almost as long as me, to spend this much time here and not made the level of progress that she had hoped to make. She wants me to sound the alarm to say, look, be careful about who you even travel with, who you select to be your partner in this experience, because people talk all that, Kemet and Africa and Ethiopia and we all one, and they don't necessarily mean it. And this is not a place where, as much as you come to Africa and you can get some healing, it's not a place where you can get healing on toxic issues that you couldn't even heal back home. So the continent is not going to fix it. If the marriage was unstable in the U.S., it's going to be unstable in the continent. If you didn't agree with polygamy in the U.S., you're not going to be any more in agreement with it here. If you're having financial issues in the U.S., you're going to have even more financial issues here. So, from her heart, she wanted me to share that. And I said, I don't normally take topics, but I would take that topic because I understood her. I brought two people with me who had a fantasy about Africa and got mad at Africa once they got to Africa and was confident that I had somehow disrespected them. The apartment I was staying in, I traveled with a portable toilet. I did not have a toilet. The shower was outside. It was communal. Okay. We didn't have air conditioning. I was working with the ceiling fan and I was working with the fan. And I can tell you, I am 54 and I'm menopausal. I'm going through. I can sit up here right now and break into a sweat and you would swear I just got through breakdancing, and then it'll stop. So I made up my mind I wanted to be here, and I was willing to adapt and on some level suffer, just like I do at home. And sometimes my heat bill is high. I cut the heat down in the wintertime, and I'm a little bit cold in my house because I suffer in order not to pay that huge heating bill. So this is not a new concept. No, you should be careful about who you travel with. I personally think that sometimes as a pioneer, because I do consider this a pioneer space, you need to come by yourself. You need to do it by yourself. You need to let them come along. They need to check it out. I don't know what you do in a marital unit, but you need to have some options put in place if people are miserable or making you miserable, so that you can get some relief from it. Because I can tell you that Africa has its own set of stressors that they're not our stressors, but nonetheless they are stressors. They do not fix. They do not resolve old toxic issues that you come along with. All you doing is putting them in a suitcase and bringing them and setting here in the motherland with them. So in the end, I am very driven, and I don't believe that you give up until the fat lady and the fat man sang. So we had our health fair, and it was an amazing health fair. And if I had had it my way, I would have followed up the next year with another one, but it wasn't meant to be. Uh, my friend is making decisions about what she wants to do with her person, with her life. I am very hopeful and prayerful for her. I know one thing. I know for sure. When she returns, because she will return, she needs to go home for a short time. She will come back with an understanding of what she needs to be productive and prosper in Africa, because you can prosper here, but you can't prosper um, battling in the home. You don't need that. That is too much of a distraction, and I think it's too hurtful to the spirit. We being shocked a lot. There's a lot of culture shock for us coming from the West. The last thing you need to be doing is going toe to toe with Westerners on the African continent. It's just too exhausting. It's way too much. Last thing I want to share now. I asked. This is just funny. I asked for 60 Ghana worth. Once I learned that was the amount, 60 Ghana worth of apateshi. Apateshi is the local gin. It is, for us, we would call it moonshine. At one point, it was outlawed. It's probably still outlawed. The colonizers outlawed it. And of course, they took it and did what they wanted to do with it. But that never stops the natives from making their stuff. So I asked for 60 Ghana worth of the local gin. I use it for herb. I drink some too. Let's don't play. But I primarily use it to make tinctures. You use the gin to extract the medicine out of your herbs, and then you take what's made from that. Okay, so I asked for that. $10. 60 Ghana equals $10, and this is what I got. Okay, she put in this bottle, and all I can say is, wow. And I won't even listen. And if you never had no appetizer, before you leave this continent, taste you some. Because I can tell you, it's delicious. It's smooth. It's delicious. But if you need it for good medicine, it serves the purpose for that as well. I'm signing off.